Hi everyone, what's up? Josh here and welcome. Today I'm excited to talk to you about two different burr sets to fit the Fellow Ode grinder version 1. Now we have the latest Fellow Ode brew grinder Gen 2 Burrs, as well as the Red Speed SSP Multipurpose Burr set. Now you might be wondering, why does all this matter? Well, the burr set that you use does have a significant impact on the flavor profile of your coffee. And whilst Fellow have released the Ode Gen 2 as a grinder, you can still pick up a Gen 1 grinder and then install Gen 2 Burrs and save yourself about $40, though you do miss out on some of those advanced features found on the Gen 2 grinder, which I do have a great review of, and you can find that in the top corner of your screen right now. You may also just be an original Fellow Ode grinder owner who is looking to upgrade, and you don't want this to involve buying a whole new grinder. So in this video, I'll be comparing both of these burr sets installed into the Fellow Ode grinder version 1 to help you understand the differences and decide which one of these burr sets is right for you. Now, the major pain point in the Fellow Ode version 1 when it was released was it couldn't grind finer than approximately 400 to 500 microns. With the newest Gen 2 Burrs, this issue has been fixed, and with those latest Burrs, you can grind down to around 200 microns in size. Yet this is still a touch too coarse for espresso grinding. And whilst there are many videos you can find out there now that will help you turn your Ode version 1 into an espresso grinder, I've actually got one you can find up here. You do it at your own risk, and come to think of it, that was the year 2020. There are just better espresso grinders available right now for the same price point. The Ode is very much a filter coffee only style of grinder, but a very good one at its price point. So today we'll be focusing on the filter coffee grind size range. Now the Ode Gen 2 Burrs look like a typical 64mm espresso burr set. And having already done a review of this grinder with knowledge of the flavor profile, it does share some similarities in the profile you would expect from a traditional espresso focused grinder, but don't let looks alone fool you. And the Red Speed SSP Multipurpose Burr set, having a different style of cutting edge altogether, offers a vastly different style of grinding and presents a unique flavor profile, though with all good things, challenges do also arise with this burr set, as it can be a bit tricky getting the right grind setting for a tasty brew, as it kind of sits on a knife edge for dialing in. Whereas the Fellow Ode Gen 2 Burrs, these have been developed to be more forgiving to the brewer. So what do I do with all this information? Well, I'm going to be setting up a cupping right now with multiple grind settings from each grinder, and then cup these bowls and arrange them into favorite to least favorite, and then analyze the spread of each grinder across those grind settings. That way we can dive in and stir up some useful intel on which burr set might tickle your fancy. But let me be clear, I'm not here to provide some sort of holy grail of coffee grinding. Taste is personal, and what rocks my world might not rock yours. So let's explore what sparks joy into your coffee loving heart. Are you ready? Let's begin. All right, whew, that was fun. That was actually really, really fun. I've cupped all the bowls. So the grinds on both the burr sets, on the Ode ones, was a grind of setting of 3, 5, 7, and 9. Now I took those as they were averages, they were good spots in the recommended grinding ranges from the Ode version 2 Burrs, where it's around the AeroPress grind. Around the 3, it's around a pour over grind. For the 5, it's around a Mocha Master or cupping grind around the 7. French press is around a 9, and 11 it was the coarsest you can go, which is cold brew. Really kind of interesting flavor results. And this is actually a really good experiment to try, even just with one burr set, trying multiple grind settings, same coffee, because what I'm also extracting out of this information is, no doubt, this is my favorite cup. And this essentially provides me with an ideal extraction of flavors. So whatever grind setting this is on, then that would be the grind setting I would use, perhaps a pour over. Not particularly a French press or anything like that, but for like a cupping method where it's quite a passive brewing method, it's an ideal extraction of this coffee over a 4-minute period, good grind setting, whereas something down this end, it's just too coarse. Doesn't extract enough flavor within the 4 to say 7 minute time frame for brewing coffee. So I wouldn't use this grind setting, and I would look to use more this top settings. Something you can do at home is what I'm saying. Just try it out. Different grind settings, same brew method, and then taste them side by side. That's probably the biggest advantage to doing something like this, as well as just comparing it next to each other. So what I found was, when I lined it all up, I cupped the whole line back and forwards, kind of moving up and down to which ones I liked based on clarity, acidity, sweetness, a good amount of body, and some unique flavors coming out of the coffee. And then, obviously the coffees that lacked, I pushed them down. Then I bunched all those good coffees back up to this corner, and then I could, rather than going from good, bad, good, and all mixed, I can just go and compare all the good coffees next to each other up here and really push in or push out the really great coffees and kind of find the line that way. Anyway, that's my method to my madness. Really nice cup of coffee. Some really interesting ones where as it cooled down even, it got better and it kind of jumped up the line, and there was a few that actually cooled down and got worse and fell down the line. So that's another point I want to make. And another point I want to make is, before we move on, the SSP Burrs using the Ode version 1 versus the Ode Brew Burrs version 2, I did find there was much more retention. So about 0.4 to 0.5 grams each time I dosed out. Now I was weighing in and weighing out because I really wanted to make sure it was exact going into these bowls. And pretty much every time I ground out from the SSP Burrs, there was about 0.4 to 0.5 grams of grounds that I really had to work on the knocker or even bang it on top of the grinder to get that last little bit out. So that's an important point to make, I guess, when it comes to thinking about which burr set you want to buy. A little bit more retention on the SSP Burrs, funnily enough, whereas with the version 2 Ode Brew Burrs, there wasn't that much. It was like 0.1, occasionally 0.3, but nothing like the consistent 0.4 that I was seeing with the SSP Burrs. Let's get to this. I'm not really sure how else to do it other than just start lifting the bowls and being like, okay, this is the lineup. Because I'm not trying to guess anything here. I'm just really trying to draw out of it a pattern, I guess. Maybe there will be a pattern in this. This was an Ethiopian coffee for all of you coffee bean lovers, coffee bean nerds. Tasting notes of apricot, lemonade, and white grape. It was a washed Ethiopian. Definitely all of that in here. It was really nice. Really nice coffee. I think we should start at this end. Let's see if there's a pattern. Now, like I've mentioned, there's 4 grind settings, 3, 5, 7, no, 5. 3, 5, 7, 9, and 11. 5 grind settings, 2 grinders. Let's do this. The least favorite coffee. The least favorite coffee from this cupping was the SSP Burrs on grind setting 11, which makes a little bit of sense. Like, it's the last grind setting. It's going to be a very weak cup of coffee. Not too much flavor involved. Let's jump back up to the top and see what the best coffee was and see the difference here. All right. So the best flavored coffee from this set was the Brew Burrs on grind 3, which is pretty awesome. Pretty awesome. All right. SSP 11, Brew Burrs 3. SSP 6, Brew Burrs 5. Wow. So really nice cup on 3, really nice cup on the Ode Burrs 5, 2 SSPs down the end here with an 11, and what did I say this was? With an 11 and, I didn't say 9, yeah, 9. 11 and 9. Wow, that's really interesting. That's so bizarre already. There's a pattern that the most finest settings on the Brew Burrs were nice here, and the most coarsest settings on the SSP Burrs were here. That's so bizarre. Where was I up to? Okay, so the SSP Burrs jump in here at 5. So we've got 2 settings of 5 up here, which again, this is like that pattern of the best grind setting almost, because you've got these two settings, 5, sort of, you know, grouped in next to each other. Really interesting that the 3 is up the top there. That's really awesome. Down the end here, we've got, oh wow, SSP 7. That's interesting. So literally going from the coarsest back for the SSP Burrs, we've got, I'm I'm losing my mind here, 11, 9, and 7 all on the SSP, all the least favorite as the coarsest settings, which is bizarre. I did not know it was going to be. All right, there we go. That's the SSP, the 3. So we've got 3 on the Ode, 5 on the Ode, 5 on the SSP, 3 on the SSP. Cool. What are the other 3? How's this one? Ah, finally. Finally, we've got the Fellow Ode with the setting of 9. So again, that kind of coarsest. Actually, we haven't seen the 11 of the Ode yet, which is really interesting because the 11 of the SSP was all the way down the end here. Obviously not the greatest, but there we go. There's the 7 of the Ode. This would be the 11. What? The 11 of the Ode. 7 of the Ode, 11 of the Ode. All right, so I'm going to put all the Odes forward. There you go. That might help understand the pattern a little bit more. So all the coffees forward were the Odes. The first 2, then we skip 2, and then 3 in the middle. Whereas with the SSP, it was 3rd place, 4th place, and the last 3 least favorite. So that, you know, that's kind of what goes back on how SSP kind of sits on that knife edge. For the extraction of the coffee, there was really only 2 that really stood out, which was 3 and 5. And that really confirms that the 3 and the 5 on the Ode Burrs are at the same grind setting, a very familiar, nice tasting extraction, and they're up front. They're in fact in front of the SSP Burrs, which is really cool to see. And then obviously these 3 and these 3 are grouped again down the back. Again, this just kind of goes back to the extraction of the coffee, but also interesting that the Ode Burrs are in front of the SSP. Yeah, you can, I mean, like, I don't know if I can say it any louder than that. That's a really cool result for the Ode Burrs. Really fantastic result. I'm super surprised by that. I think I would probably need to kind of push the grinds under a microscope perhaps to really understand more of what's going on. But otherwise, we're looking at the Ode Burrs being a really great set for filter coffee, I would suggest. I better clean all this up and I'll come back with a conclusion. Wow, I have to say, I am impressed with the Fellow Ode Gen2 Burrs. They provided a consistent flavour profile, making them an excellent choice for anyone looking for a reliable and forgiving burr set. On the other hand, the SSP Burrs, well, they presented a unique clarity in the cup that's definitely worth exploring for those willing to put in the extra work whilst brewing, and there are certainly half a dozen or more other sets of burrs you can explore. The SSP Multipurpose Burr set just being that right set that is well known for filter coffee. There's also the Lab Suite cast steel burrs and higher uniformity sets. But overall, I do highly recommend upgrading your Fellow Ode Grinder version 1 with either the Fellow Ode Gen2 Burrs or an SSP Burr set, depending on your preferences and skill level. Both options are excellent. Value for money, it's hard to go by the Fellow Ode Gen2. So, thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoyed this review and found it informative. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them in the comment section down below. I'd love to hear your own experiences with these burr sets or others. And if you haven't already, please consider subscribing to our channel and liking this video so you can stay tuned for more coffee related content. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.